Hey, welcome back to Mr. P Helps with Algebra. This is U2T3, Lesson 3. And in this lesson, we are going to start off with systems of equations. We're going to find a point that satisfies the first equation, and does it also satisfy the second equation? So I can put anything in for x, let's say 2. So if I make x equal 2, then that would make this 4, and 4 minus 3 equals 1. So if x is 2, that means y would have to be 1. That satisfies the first equation. Now, can I put that into the second equation and still work? Let's take a look. So y equals the opposite of x plus 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. It just so happens, actually, I promise you I didn't do this on purpose, that actually works. That did work. So 2, 1 is a solution set. That is a possible answer to this system of equations. I actually wasn't expecting that to occur. So let's see what happens on the next one. So this time I'm going to choose 2 again. So I'm going to put 2 in for x. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. So that means if x is 2, y is 9. Okay. And if I plug those into the other equation, so that means 9 equals the opposite of 2 plus 3. So as you can clearly see, if I plug 2 in for x and 9 in for y into the first equation, it works. But in the second equation, it does not. So just because a point works for the first point, just because an x and a y works for the first equation does not necessarily mean it's going to also work for the other one. And this one just ended up working. So if I put 3 in there, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 2. So that would be 3, 2. I feel like I have to prove another one that doesn't always work here. If I put x is, so the opposite of 3 is negative 3, plus 3 would be 0. So that wasn't 2. So that didn't work. So just because it worked in the first one doesn't necessarily mean that it worked in the second one. Okay? Of course. So this lesson is about students being able to convert standard form into slope-intercept form. So we're looking more into where did the equations come from. So in this case, Carlos and Clarita. Carlos likes this equation, which is slope-intercept form, and Clarita likes the standard form version. So Carlos, so that's what I wrote there. So it was y equals negative 4x plus 60. And I'm going to talk about where that comes from. And Clarita likes the standard version, which is 24x plus 6y equals 360. So here, if I was going to describe where that comes from. So the first one, if the dogs equal $24 per pen and the cats are 6, you can see that by taking away 4 cat pens, you have enough space to make 1 dog pen. So that's the reason why it's negative 4, because if I take away 4 of these cat pens, it makes space for 1 dog pen. So that's what the negative 4 stands for. And the 60 stands for the total amount of cat pens that you can possibly have. So that's your y-intercept. So describe Clarita. How did she get this equation? That one's actually a little bit easier. 24 represents how much each dog pen costs, and how much space. Sorry, I said how much. So how much space each dog pen needs, and 6 represents the amount of feet for the cat pens, and it has to equal 360. So everything has a meaning. That's what they all mean in the context of the situation. So now I'm going to take one form and change it to the other. So in this case, we're going to start with Clarita's and turn it into Carlos. So that's Clarita's over here. So 24x plus 6y equals 360. So if I want to solve this for y, which is y equals, means it's in slope-intercept form. First thing I would do is subtract 24x from both sides using the subtraction property of equality. Once I've done that, that leaves me with 6y equals negative 24x plus 360. Now, I know most of you want to put 360 minus 24x, but I'm going to put it in y equals mx plus b format. Divide that both sides by 6. As long as you keep the sign that came before each part, then it's still the same thing. So these are going to cancel out, leaving me with y equals negative 24 divided by 6 is negative 4. And 360 divided by 6 is 60. So you can clearly see it turned into the exact same thing. So we just took standard form and turned it into slope-intercept form. All right, so now we're going to show the steps to turn Carlos' equation into Clarita's. All right, so that's going to be y equals negative 4x plus 60. And the first thing I'm going to identify is I want to put it into ax plus by equals c formats. I'm going to use capital B here. All right, so knowing that ax needs to be on the left, by needs to be on the left, and c is going to be on the right-hand side. So y is already on the left. That's good. The ax needs to be moved. So I'm going to use the addition property of equality to add 4x to both sides. And that gives me 4x plus y equals 60. Now, so that is in standard form at this point, but it doesn't look like Clarita's because I would need to multiply everything by 6. This time 6, this time 6, this time 6, and then it would look exactly the same. So then this goes into the exact same thing with the startup cost, and you're going to do the exact same steps. Save a little bit of time. I'm not going to go through the other one. It's done exactly the same way. So you set up with Carlos and Clarita's equations, and then you're proving that the two things are exactly the same. So I'm going to go straight to the homework. So standard form. So why this lesson is so important, because when you're graphing standard form, you can't just put it into a graphing calculator. Graphing calculators will only graph when it's y equals, which is slope-intercept form. So there is another technique you can do. Instead of changing it to slope-intercept form, you can find the two intercepts. If you know it's a straight line, you need at least 2 points in order to connect those 2 points. You know that that's going to be all the points of that line. So if you know 2 points on a line, you can connect them, and that would be all of the points. So using that knowledge, I'm going to find the intercepts. I'm going to put 0 in for x and solve for y. So if I put 0 in for x, that basically eliminates this. And because 5 times 0 is 0. So now I'm really just asking myself, negative 2 times what is 15? That would be negative 7.5. Y is negative 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and let's say that's about 7.5. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Now, what if I want to find the x-intercept? All I have to do is put 0 in for y. Negative 2 times 0 means that's gone. 5 times what is 15? 3. 1, 2, 3. So this equation's going to look like that. All right, it's an equation, which means everything on that boundary line is a possible answer. Keep in mind that I didn't exactly make it perfectly straight. I'm going to do the same thing over here, and this was going to work out perfectly. So if I want to find the x-intercept, all I got to do is make y 0. Because you think about it, anything on this axis has a height of nothing, which makes y 0. 6 times 0 is 0, so that's gone. 3 times what is 24? That would be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, maybe it'd been a better strategy to make each box worth 2, but since I've already made each box 1, I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that, and then do the exact same thing to find a y-intercept by making x 0. 3 times 0 is 0, so that's gone. 6 times what is 24? That would be 4, positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. Once you got 2 points on a line, and that was a terrible job making them straight, so just kind of ignore the squiggliness. And that's it. Okay, please give it a like if it helped you learn something, and definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. All right, thanks again for watching. Have a great